Hello?
Hey, Mike, how you doing today?
What's up? I'm good. I'm good. How you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good.
Oh, I ain't know if I cut. You been running errands or you free or what?
Uh, I was in the other room. I heard my phone ring, and then when I got in here, it had stopped ringing.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, how you been? You been alright?
Yeah, things going pretty good. Yeah, I don't have anything to complain about.
Okay. Well, I know we all were kind of taken aback by, Inoue and the fight getting pushed back, and it made us. I know it made me go back to the drawing board because really all you have is other people's takes on the fight and everything. So I started looking up and trying to get some more information about what happened with Inoue and what's going on with the Fulton camp, and basically what I was able to confirm is something like a tendon issue with the tendon in the hand, some kind of tendon issue in the hand, and it's on again in July. Fulton and them, they know about it. I heard rumblings on the internet about Inoue trying to duck now, and just people going crazy. Like I said, a lot of times I think people don't really know how to talk about it, and they believe that sensationalism is the best way to it. We try to leave that out of it. That's all I was able to get on it, but it is on, and I found it interesting what Boots said in that article that I sent you about how he said pretty much Fulton was just going to find a way to get it done by the end of the fight. It was kind of vague, and I didn't know how you felt about it in the recent, the fight getting pushed back and all that.
Well, I didn't even go into the Ennis commentary because his commentary is gonna, as far as I'm concerned, it's gonna be somewhat biased anyway, due to the fact, if you notice the comment that I sent you, he's from Philadelphia. He's got to root for his homeboy. If he don't, he'll lose his fan base.
Yeah.
So I expect Ennis to go all the way with Fulton. He don't have a choice.
Right.
So anything he says, it's basically he's cheering for him.
Yeah.
Not saying that he's the better fighter to win. He's cheering for him. So, and I can understand that. They from the same town.
Yeah. I guess when it come to boxing, I be nosy, man. I be wanting to get like the little shoot, man. I think with some of his features, how sometimes just like when you listen to some of the coaches, even if they ain't talking about their boys, they'll actually get down into the X's and O's. So sometimes I be wanting to hear about the X's and O's sometimes, and I'm just like, yeah, I understand the hometown thing. You gonna ride with, like you gonna ride with your folks, like for the most part. So I get that.
Yeah, and I expect that. I don't expect to go to Japan and ask anybody in Japan who you think gonna win this fight, and they say, "Oh, Fulton, easily." That's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? It's not gonna happen.
Very wise.
Yeah. You have to take people that don't have a dog in the fight and listen to their commentary, because they're gonna give you a more level comment about what they think gonna happen, and it's not gonna be filled with any bias. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you can't go, man. You can't go to Philadelphia and ask nobody out of the boxing gym who you think gonna win the fight. It's gonna be unanimous. If somebody say, "Oh no, Inoue's gonna stop them," man, they better find another gym.
That's true.
Yeah, they better find another gym. I'm telling you.
But let me ask you though. From let me pick your boxing mind. I like to give you some time, to think about things. But in the grand scheme of things, about your fighter like a puncher, because I'm thinking about the same thing with Jamel Charlo. And the last time I seen him, he was commentating on watching Tony Harrison against Tim Tszyu. He was actually commentating and walking through, and you really got to hear the X's and O's from him. But he's coming off a hand injury. he's undisputed. He's getting ready to defend his title pretty soon, and I was trying to put myself in the mindset of Jamel, like being like punchers the way they are. You know what I'm saying? But I was thinking about Inoue with him being a puncher, and him being critical of a hand coming back, because now that's gonna be the coming back before the fight, that's gonna be the big topic. The hand, how is the hand gonna hold up? Is the strategy gonna change? Like, how do you think that this changed the fight, or how are you looking at it as far as Inoue and the hand injury?
I don't think it's going to change anything, because what they did, they only put the fight off a little bit, a month or so off. So whatever injury he has, I don't think it's serious anyway, because fighters, in many cases, have hand injuries. It's not uncommon in the boxing world for a guy to have an injured hand. It's just that his injury came up right when he was training for a fight. So these guys often have hand injuries, and if there's not a hand injury that requires any type of surgery, it's no more than just a little injury, I feel.
Yeah, like a healing, it just needs time to heal.
Yeah. If it doesn't require surgery, I don't think that it's a major injury. It's like a football player, coming off the field limping a little bit, but then he sits, and then, within a week or 2 weeks, he's right back at full strength. Yeah, so I don't think that it's going to handicap him any. It's probably something he's experienced from time to time anyway. Just like Floyd Mayweather often had problems with his hands. So did Sugar Ray Leonard. They had problems with their hands from time to time. But if it doesn't require surgery, then I think they all come back to 100%.
Yeah. Good point. Now, does that give Fulton any how did that play into Fulton's psyche? Did that kind of can that give him like a false sense of comfort, or did that give him how did that play in Fulton's mind, if you had to guess how they looking at everything?
Well, this is their sport. They professionals. They understand what goes on and what causes a fight to be postponed and put back a little bit. So if anybody understands the sport, it's those that's in the sport, and if that fight's not being totally postponed, then whatever injury he have, it's not on that serious nature. Yeah. So being a professional fighter and being in the gym, these guys know, you have injuries from time to time. It's like a basketball player, come out with an ankle injury where he tweaked his ankle. He's out for a few games, or maybe, a couple weeks, and then he's back in and he's playing basketball just like he was before he left. You know what I mean? Yeah. Unless it's something that requires surgery, I don't think there's no permanent result that's going to affect the fight, especially if the fight is only being pushed off a month. Yeah. So an injury that only puts something off for a month, that's like somebody having a little sprain and say, well, okay, I need to lay off this just for a while, but in a couple of weeks I'll be right back. So I don't look at this as being anything dramatic. I really don't.
Yeah, it's not much. I don't really hear anything coming out, but I think it's just the way I look at it is it gives Fulton even more time to prepare, and if he needed rest, or saw something that he needed to work on, really extra time to develop, because that could be an advantage, having more time to prepare. As long as he don't overtrain, I don't believe you can over prepare. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's time for him, more time for him to go back to the lab and be like, as long as he don't read the newspaper clippings, and he still stay focused. Cause I remember, I always talk about this. Nobody talks about this. Leading up to when Teofimo Lopez fought Kambosos, Teofimo Lopez, they had the COVID pushback. When one time they had the fight pushed back because they was getting ready to fight on the night where Floyd was going to fight that weekend as well, and he booked it afterwards, so the fight got pushed back. And then what happened? It got pushed back like 3 times, and so the span of time that went by, that time and like being prepared and going through camp. That does something to a fighter, man, when they actually have to go through the training and then they had to pull out and in too much time. That had impacted Tio a little bit going into that fight with Kambosos. And he was so anxious.
Yeah. I guess, depending upon how hard you training, and then to get a fight interrupted, I guess for some fighters, overtraining can come into play. But with these two guys, I think that at this particular level, I think they both going to be ready. And postponing this fight a little bit as far as the Inoue camp go, it might be a necessity to ensure that he's 100%.
Absolutely.
So, as far as Fulton goes, look, he's a champion. He's not suffering any injury, and this wasn't something that came upon like a week before the fight. This was a couple months before the fight. So therefore, everybody should be acclimated on the readjustment and be ready. So this wasn't like a spur of the moment injury that happened right before the fight.
Yeah. I'm thinking about it as well because of the Stanionis and the Virgil Ortiz thing. I came across that too, so that's on my mind. With these fights getting pushed back, cause we was tracking to have, man, it was looking so good, and then we got the Caleb Plant and everything, and then these two fights get pushed back. So I was thinking about it all, like as far as injuries, cause this is the second time that happened with Virgil with the rhabdomyolysis. That's what they say. I'm not sure if it was that this time, but that's like something to do with his. I think like his like the extra protein being released into his blood cells and stuff like that. So that's Stanionis and all that. They saying that was postponed as well. So I'm thinking about both of these two fights. So they kind of got postponed. They're gonna still happen, but they got delayed. That's how I was looking at it.
Yeah, well, sometime in boxing that happens. It even happens sometime, doing sparring. Somebody, even though they wear the headgear, they have all the stuff on, every now and then a person might get a cut doing sparring. You know what I mean? So, a lot of times, these things happen and fights get set back a little bit. But the good thing, like I say about this fight was postponed in enough time that everybody was well aware and they hadn't made arrangements to be at the fight, and within a week now the fight is canceled. So everybody has time to be acclimated to the rescheduling and be ready for the fight. Me myself, I'm not worried about it. Sometimes things get a little delayed, but I think in the long run we're gonna get what we want and we're gonna see what we want to see. And we're going to see the best fights out there.
Yeah, we will. But what all been on your boxing mind outside of that?
I'm going to tell you the truth. After the Benavidez fight, Okay? Now, there's a lot of matches that can happen in that division. But the one fight I truly would want to see, I would want to see Jamal Charlo and Benavidez. That's the fight I really want to see. Andre will be a good fight. That'll be a good fight with either guy, with Benavidez or with Charlo, you know. But the fight I would rather see, if I could pick the fight, I would want to see Charlo and David Benavidez.
Yeah.
That's the fight I would really want to see. What about you?
I've been wanting to see that fight. You know, I've been wanting to see that fight. I was trying to figure out, you know, I was happy to see Maul just get back in and, you know, talk the way he was talking, saying he wanted the winner of that fight. He came out on record and said he wanted the winner. And he was saying even if Benavidez lost, he wanted to fight him. So he made it be known he wanted to fight him. I've been looking up at Andrade too. I've been looking at, you know, what he's been saying and how he's coming. So I would want to see. I've been wanting to see Maul. I've been wanting to see Maul and David Benavidez. Maul Ben said he would go up there. I think kind of before it really didn't make sense, but it really makes sense now. And I think it's a fight that can happen. Really, you know, I
would really like to see them fight, you know. And as far as Canelo getting in the mix, it's hard to say what Canelo gonna do because Canelo has a mind of his own. He's able to pick and choose who he fights. So fanfare on who you would like to see Canelo fight isn't capable enough of getting him in the ring with somebody. You know, he decides who he want to fight. So
yeah, I don't even give that man no. I don't even include him in nothing, man. That's like I guess like trying to hit the lottery. You know what I'm saying? If you want to play, but don't get too far off and distracted, because you know what I'm saying, you got to do your own career. So that's why I try not to even. They still be saying and calling his name and stuff like that, but I'm like, man, I don't try to make no plans around no Canelo, because like you said, it's whether he wants you. It's not whether you want to fight him.
And Canelo being who he is, it's almost like they intimidated to tell him, look, this is your mandatory. If you don't fight him, we taking this from you. You know, it's like that conversation never come up with him.
Yeah, because I think he threatened to drop. He did something where he was, you know, he bucked on him one time. I think that was before all that franchise stuff, or it was a point in time. That's why all that stuff happened, because he was the first one to get that franchise stuff, you know. So it was like ever since they did that, and they don't really want to fix that problem. I try not to give him no, you know, I don't give that man no whatever unless I'm using him as an example. You know, I'm with you though. I want to see Maul and Benavidez. I was trying to give Benavidez time to kind of like read the newspaper clippings and, you know, heal and rest, because he did train pretty hard. He was in better shape than ever. He wound up rehydrating better than what I thought. So he kind of showed me some things. You know, I had looked at his stats before CompuBox, and that was kind of more, his stats were more in favor of what I was giving him credit for prior to me looking at the stats. So I gained some respect for him there. And I hope he keep that energy that he had when he used to want Maul. I just don't know how far out we can realistically expect that fight. Because Maul, is Maul gonna want to jump straight in the ring with him? Or is he gonna want to get, you know, is he gonna have to get, you know, do he do tune-ups? Is he like Earl? Earl don't do tune-ups. You know what I'm saying? Is Maul built like that? Where, you know what I'm saying, do he need a tune-up? Or is he cut like Earl when he don't do tune-ups?
Well, I guess, you know, we have to wait and see exactly how this thing gonna materialize, you know? I can't really, I really don't have a definitive answer on that. You know, is how bad does he want to fight, and how soon does he want to fight?
And how Benavidez is gonna act, because I know it was some numbers up there when it came down to Andrade. It was some numbers up there, and I'm like, man, that's why I had to start actually giving Andre credit, because some people was throwing out some numbers. I'm like, yeah, he made his mistake by pulling out and all this, but that was a while ago. And I'm like, some people threw out some numbers to be able to put him in the mix, and it's like, people aren't rushing to go fight the dude. Like, he be calling for it. And he just showed and proved he came over on this side of the street. So Benavidez kinda can say what he want. I mean, he's not really calling for Mr. Morrell, David Morrell. You know what I'm saying? The young killer, like, I don't hear nobody really calling for that young man, but they trying to make it to where him and Ginger, and I'm like, man, I don't want to make no plans on that. I think he said something about Bivol. Somebody had a show about it. I didn't really watch it because it's kind of hard. I kind of like let some time go back and then watch that kind of stuff in hindsight, because some of the stuff that be out there about these fighters be outrageous. Benavidez got the attention of the world right now.
Yeah, he does.
You know what I'm saying? Caleb got to go back. I don't know if Caleb gonna come back to try to. He can't even think about him in Charlo. So I don't know if he gonna want to come back fight or if is Charlo gonna want to get his feet wet up there, because they don't, like, when it come to Earl, they want Earl to come to 54 and get busy. Like, we got to keep that same energy. So when these other fighters go up, is he gonna pull it anyway? You know, getting busy with Fulton. You know, like, is it gonna be that kind of move? I mean, he had some time off. Maul did, but Benavidez kind of can say, "Hey, I'm the A side. You want me to get it while it's hot." You know what I'm saying? Like, you know. So we gotta wait and see. We gotta wait and see who's really about that life, because you know, they gotta come out and give us more information.
Yeah, I agree with you, 100%.
Last thing I want to ask you about, or you know, Shakur fight this upcoming weekend. He fighting that guy,
the Japanese guy,
Yoshino. Yes, he fighting.
Yeah, right. I watched a little bit on him too, what you sent me, and boxing wise, Shakur should be able to figure him out. It should still be an interesting fight, but I don't pick him to beat Shakur. I just don't. It should be an interesting fight, though.
I got that as a devastating. I'm sorry, I got that as a devastating stoppage, man. I mean, when I looked at it, when I watched that fight with Nakatani, whom Shakur is giving them the credit for, Nakatani got caught into a war. Shakur is too disciplined to try to get caught into a war, but that Nakatani was hitting him with everything but the kitchen sink. You know what I'm saying? Like, the dude got a beard now, so Shakur gonna have to deal with him. That's the whole thing. That's the question mark. I'm saying, okay, is Shakur power gonna be even better, because now he don't got to cut, so he don't got to really drain himself, so he able to punch harder. We already know he punch with precision. He's very accurate. He's very fluid, and I've seen him do some things, bounce somebody off the rope and catch him, be there to catch him, you know what I'm saying, lift him back up with something. So we've seen him do some spectacular things already, devastating body work. But the way this guy come in, head down, like rushing forward, I saw him a lot of times in that fight where his chin and his upper body was past his knees, moving forward.
Yeah.
That right there is like, with a high split guard. I'm like, man, he gonna run in. That's gonna be one of them double impact joints where he gonna run right in. Like, Shakur gonna be right there to pick him up. Like, he gonna probably set him still with a jab and then pick him up with an up, or catch him, do a step back, and right when he stopped, you know what I'm saying, leverage him up. You know, I just think it's not gonna be that well. I don't think that's gonna end well. But he get the show out. Supposedly he's gonna call Devin Haney out. You know, that's what word on the street is. He gonna try to push to have that. And we got Devin Haney getting ready to fight Loma. They finally had their press conference. and there, you know, it's finally an item now.
Yeah, I would have been surprised if that fight actually would have fallen through, because that fight had all the makings of happening. When Haney stepped into the ring and was talking to Lomachenko in the ring, that right there to me solidified that this is going to be a fight that's going to happen. It's going to happen. Because if it wasn't, he shouldn't have stepped in the ring.
Yep, you all over it. That's what they're gonna use. That's gonna be a nice build up, though. I think it's a good story, man. I mean, I think that who has more pressure on them to win in that fight?
I think Lomachenko does, because this right now could be the last hurrah for Lomachenko, because Devin is young. If Devin do have a setback, okay, he's young enough to recover. Another loss on Lomachenko's record, and with his age, it question if he'll ever get back to that form again where he's going to be a legitimate champion. Because he's been fell off the notch a little bit, and he's got to get back on top. And until he gets back on top, I can't say that he is still the fighter that he once was. He's got to prove that in the ring. And it's going to be a difficult fight against Haney, just because of his size, reach, and Haney's ability to move around the ring and just box. So Lomachenko is going to have to come after him and fight, because if he tries to outbox him, just purely outbox him, he might be at a height reach disadvantage, and it might be difficult.
Yeah. So more pressure on. That's why you keep it a buck. You know, you keep it 10 times 10. That's why I ask your opinion, man. I value what you say. Yeah, I mean, I would, and it was from that perspective, you definitely make a strong argument.
This right now is a must-win for Lomachenko. Because where do he go after? Where does he go now after a loss?
Yeah, you've been called the Matrix and everything else in the book, and it was supposed to be white Jesus against black Jesus. That's what they was calling it. You know what I'm saying? That's what that's some of their monikers. You know, that's what they was calling them.
And see, another thing too. Now with Haney, if Haney loses, then Haney gets another fight, because people are going to want to see him fight back for his title. But if Lomachenko loses, who's going to want to see this fight again? So there's future for Haney after a loss.
Man, you making me think now. So if Loma pull this off, do he get a rematch? If Loma take it, is it a rematch? I would have to think it's a rematch.
I would think so. This is why I said that if Haney loses, he will get a rematch, because you got all these belts on the line, and the mere fact that Haney is giving him the opportunity, it would only be considerate to get the rematch clause in there, because it's going to be money to be made. It might be more money in the second fight if he loses than what's in the first fight. But if Lomachenko loses, there is no rematch clause to come back to fight again, because Lomachenko is going to drop a few notches, and it's going to be thought that he's going to have to beat somebody to reestablish himself in position. When if Haney loses, he's already in position for a rematch because him being the champion. But if Lomachenko loses, he has no bargaining chip to demand a rematch.
Yeah, that's a lot of that is more pressure in that sense too. Then. So man,
Lomachenko, he gotta win.
But in essence, that means he gotta do it twice.
He gotta win, man.
Unless he win and then, you know what I'm saying, pull a retirement win and be, you know, but yeah, that's a lot of pressure. That's a good perspective.
Yeah, he's gotta win. He's gotta win, man, to solidify another top-notch fight. He's gotta win. Because if he doesn't win and he wants to continue to fight at his upper echelon level, then he's going to be forced to fight some of these young lions to reestablish himself in the division.
Man, I got him dropping down before he'll do that, really. And I don't even know if that's too wise. But to round it out, did you hear anything about, you know, the big one? You hear any updates about the big one? Any possibilities?
With what? Which big one? Because, you know, we had a few big ones out there. Which big one are you talking about?
Bud Spence.
Oh, man, I ain't, no. And whenever you do hear something, you have to take it with a grain of salt.
Man, sheesh, man. I'm so tired. That's why I can't even entertain it no more. I'm exhausted, man.
I'm exhausted too. So that's why when you said the big one, I done already took that off of my mind scope, because until something really comes to fruition, all of this talking, man, listen, these guys got to be at a press conference. You got to have his team and both teams together, and they done solidified a date and all this internet chatter at this particular point means nothing when it comes to Spence and Bud.
Yeah.
And if they do fight, I think this long waiting period, it's more of an advantage to Crawford than it is for Spence, because Spence is going to have to really lose the weight now. I think it'd be more comfortable for him to fight at 54 than 47 because of the long wait. Fighters usually don't get smaller. They usually get bigger over a period of time.
Yeah. When I see him, I don't ever see Earl down like I see, I don't ever see Earl like I see Devin at 135. I know he passed the age and his bones is already dense. He already got his grown man strength. He already is pretty much in stature how he's going to be. So if he gonna cut doing it one more time and going into it and that's it, that's cool. But I don't think he putting himself through being more than, you know what I'm saying, more than just a little bit off of what he would need to anyway. I think he's staying in shape. You know what I'm saying? I would, you know, he got a whole different perspective. He doing something. I don't think he overtraining, but he's staying in shape.
He has to be ready just in case.
And he's studying the
fight
game.
Comes up. He don't want to go too far out of the way. But another thing too, the possibility of fighting at 154 is still on his mind too. So he's in a catch-22 situation. You know what I mean? Either Bud gonna do this thing or he's not gonna do it. Because the longer it takes, the more advantage it is for Bud. Because Bud is the smaller fighter. And like Earl say, like Nas. So it's not gonna be as hard for him to get to 147 as it is going to take Earl. Earl say like Nas.
It is so yeah. That's you right. You right. I mean, I know 54. I just want an announcement, man. I'm just like, man, Earl. Like when I'm thinking, like, dang, man, are they trying to? It's like whenever we got all the momentum and we be the powers that be, it's like everybody start acting funny, man. Like everybody start acting kind of funny, man. Like the fact we still talking about that, we already done struck off in the April. I can't even believe we done passed the first quarter. We in the second quarter.
This fight should have been 2 years ago. This fight should have been right after, well, I ain't gonna say 2 years ago, but it's over a year after Spence defeated Ugas. Preparations for this fight should have been his next fight.
Yeah, I would say at least a year. It's at least a year. It's at least a year from where we should have had it, about, roughly, where we should have, where it should have just automatically taken place and it made sense. And you right.
Oh yeah, that was the time. That was the time. Earl said what he wanted to do. He did it. And at this particular point, he asked, who you want next? He said, I want Terrence Crawford. So at that particular point, this fight should have been made. Both guys were at 147, and both guys would have been ready to fight. This fight should have been over.
Yep. Yeah, so all right, well, I didn't know what all was on your boxing, man. I know it had been a minute, and I try to talk about certain fights, that really move the needle, or fights that I know fighters and fights that interest you, so get your perspective. But we just gotta wait. We gotta sit back and wait, and of course, I'm gonna be watching that top rank this weekend. They fight Shakur, that dude Big Baby. I think Keyshawn is on that card. So it's some people that's on that card that's gonna be fighting. So
listen, Keyshawn doing a lot of talking about Martin, but I'm gonna tell you, man, I put Martin just slightly ahead of him right now. Keyshawn need a couple more 10-round fights before I think he's ready for Martin.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, I'm tired of the teasing with the Keyshawn. I'm tired of the teasing. It's like, we see the talent, we hear the talk. Just on fight night, we just want to see because we keep saying, oh man, we ain't seen the best and, best of him, and we just want to see that because, guys that's going 12 rounds with Devin, you getting them 2-3 years later, and you're not putting their lights out. Like if you that dynamic, I know a young Floyd would have been, man. Young Floyd, Tank, all these guys was getting rid of them. Like if you ain't supposed to be in there, like not that I watch boxing and everything, but like that's my whole thing. Like it's different when you can. They call it in the contest. I gotta remind people. They say that when you can stop somebody, that means you ending the contest. That means that you don't need another round. You done figured it out and you done got it done. There's nothing to be ashamed about. Like, so some of these guys, when it's been 2-3 years later after they done been stopped or knocked out or, or been beat or went 12 rounds, and you catch them 3 years later and you supposed to be the next thing, a young Floyd, Tank at any point in time, Roy Jones, Mike Tyson, they was getting rid of these guys. If you didn't belong in there, you can try to credit the whole hit and not get hit for 12 rounds and all that, but these boxers don't get paid overtime. Every round they can get hit in the head. When you can get rid of your opponent, you can dispatch somebody like Inoue, like Tank, like Wilder. You know what I'm saying? When you could just get rid of it. That's the thing. That's what I want to see from Keyshawn.
Yeah, it's no doubt. There's no controversy. There's none of that. You're right. When you can dismantle an opponent, stop him, all the questions concerning that fight have already been answered.
The judge can't take it away from you. The ref can't, you know what I'm saying? Up until that point, the ref really can't take nothing away from you. Like, they can't say, oh, on the scorecards, this and all that. Those hands did the talking. So that's special to me, and I'm thinking we going away, we get away from that. But like, when you get to talking like that, when your hands are doing that, people want to tune in and see, and they all ears at that point. But a lot of that talking, when you don't see that, in my opinion, say I'm knockout starving or I'm hungry or whatever, but when I don't see that after all that talking, I start saying, man, well, how special are you? You know what I'm saying? Don't tell me. Don't talk my head off. Show me. I'm from Missouri when it comes to that. You know, do some body work. You know what I'm saying? And show me. So that's what I want to see from Keyshawn. I think his brother, Kelvin, the tall one, he's like the sleeper. Like, wow, you know, he's not in the lights. He don't talk a lot. He be in the cut. I heard a couple of his interviews. He a no shit Sherlock type dude, responsive dude, like very blunt and to the point. And I think he back in the wins, listening, watching, learning. And when he get out there, he's the tall. He got the boxer build. He got a real advantage over people, like, because he can, like, his bone structure and how he is. He's slim enough, but he's tall and long enough, and he fights that way. He's a real problem. Like when he really grow into his own, but he don't say nothing. He the one that's strictly business. So he done showed me a lot just in watching him, and he get rid of you quick, because he got a suddenness, his ranginess. It's something that ain't, for his size and structure, he not to the extreme of a Fundora, but he more fluid, and he use his range. So I'm waiting to see these guys, you know, some of these other guys that you don't really hear from. And Martin, as far as Martin has showed us something against Rivera. And come to find out, whatever happened, Rivera was on two different things, you know, in that contest. And I think Frank Martin is being what he is. He's a ghost. He lay back in the wings. You don't really hear a lot about him. Till somebody bring him up, he'll pop in, but he don't seem like he go crazy on social media. He stay out the way, and when he show up, he show out. So I think that, you know, Keyshawn barking up, I don't know if it's one of them he know he on the other side of the street, or if it's something that really can be done, because you can't keep saying that, because Earl will mess around and let, you know what I'm saying, because that's Earl guy. Earl can let him, you know what I'm saying? That's Earl guy. Earl can make it happen. So, you know, I want to see Keyshawn show out. If it's all this Martin talk.
Yeah, he's saying he wants Martin, but I don't know. I mean, that's something that down the road will definitely, if both of them keep winning, is going to come to fruition. But I don't know if he should be calling out Martin right now. It might be a little premature for him right now, but that might be what he wants. Or is he just building the controversy up for a fight that's laying in the, in the future?
Yeah, I think they making it out to seem like Martin is doing everything he need to do to go get a belt, which means he getting ready to fight Tank. He getting ready to line himself in a position to be able to fight Tank. So I think it's another fight, and then he trying to position himself to where he trying to get a belt. But I was going to ask you, what do you think about what do you think would happen with a Hector Garcia and a Frank Martin? How you think that fight would play out?
I think that would be a good matchup, because Martin would be stepping his game up, fighting somebody that's been, at the top of the level, because that's what's going to have to happen with Martin. Martin is going to have to fight those guys at the top, because he's shown that he can beat guys at his level. The only thing he can do is fight guys at the upper echelon that will put him in a position for a title shot. So he has established some upward mobility, and he has to maintain it in order to get the title shot he's looking for.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm fighting Keyshawn Martin right now. I don't see that as being a prominent fight for him. That's not going to get him the title shot that he wants. Because Keyshawn Davis, he doesn't have a title or anything like that. And that's, Martin wants a title shot. So he's got to perpetuate himself towards the top. Not fighting somebody at his equal or below him. That's not going to get him where he want to be at.
I just want to see it's the other guy, the Grenade, the one who stopped Ryu, man. I've been trying to see, man. He should be fighting here soon. It's a guy that keeps up with all them guys over there, and I kind of check into his channel like when I really want to know the real deal. It's just I gotta work on my Espanole a little bit, because sometimes he be heavy on it, but I be trying to go in and listen and see what I could find out about him. But the Grenade, I've been waiting for him, but I've been looking at I've been waiting for Isaac Cruz, because a lot of these guys are saying I want a title. I mean, it's only like 2 fights that they can actually make. But I'm like, well, that's convenient. Why? We know you want a title, but like, who are you guys going to fight next? That's what I'll be wanting to know with some of these other guys. But it's like we gotta wait until the more information come out and stuff break. But I think we have a voice, and if we put a voice to what we want to see, that's when we get it. At least spark ideas for people to at least say, hey, I never thought about them two fighting. Fights that can be made, fights that, with people who we done already showed that they can actually box.
I'm going to tell you a good matchup, but I don't think from a business point of view, it should be made. But a good matchup would be Martin and Isaac Cruz. But that's a fight that's very risky. It's risky for Martin because you don't want to lose to a non-champion before you get a title shot. Now, as far as an interesting fight, I think it would be an interesting fight, but it could be a little dangerous to take that fight right now. But I think we would be entertained by it.
Yeah, I've been wanting that fight, but I've been reduced to not knowing what these guys' plans are. But I've been calling for a fight like that. But that's what I was saying. I was saying after Martin won that last time, I was saying what he did was he got out there and he called out Tank. I'm like, well, you not really in that position. You know that he tied up, that he already got. So that was your shot where you could have said, because of whoever you said that name in that ring, you could have been getting them next if you would have just said that name. But that's why I say when they be yelling for the top, which they supposed to do, I just think that when it's bright lights right after the fight and they say who you want next, throw out that dart and hit somebody that's realistic that you can actually fight next. And then say what else you want in the interviews. But that's just my thing, because it make it easier, because it's like I be wanting fights that it seems like fighters don't really want, you know what I'm saying, for themselves, because it's a business. I'm getting, look, this is the last thing. I still want Wilder and Ruiz. I still want to see that. It don't look like I'm gonna get it, but everybody talking about a Wilder and Usyk. I still want to see a Wilder and AJ. Like, regardless, whatever, I just want to see them in the ring. Like, but people are finding ways to not want to see Wilder and Ruiz, and to not want to see Wilder and AJ. So I don't really know like what these fighters want. Like Wilder, I don't, they saying he's friends with Fury now, and so it's kind of hard, man. Like to really want, like, more information need to come out and more definite plans as far as when these fighters are fighting need to come out, because right now it's a lot of people can go different ways, and everybody wants a title shot. That's why I'm starting to not really this title stuff. I just want to see the names of the people that we know got talent fight each other.
You know, when it comes to heavyweights, we all love to see heavyweights get into the ring because we are anticipating some real brutal action. And we are not looking for the fight to go to the scorecards. So anytime heavyweights climb into the ring, it attracts our attention. So all of those fights and all of those guys you just mentioned, it creates enthusiasm. And just put them in the ring. I don't care who fights, who, put them heavyweights in the ring, and let's see who can stand up to the pressure. Who can take the smoke?
Yeah, that's how I look at it, man. Sometimes, and then I think when you talk about them, you try to promote them, people get in their feelings. That's why I stopped talking about certain boxes and stuff. It's like, man, if I'm talking about you and I'm promoting you, I gotta be real about what I see. What I'm supposed to not go over your CompuBox stats. What I'm supposed to not go over what your opponent did to you. What I'm supposed to be about. I'm supposed to ignore the fact that you didn't cut off the ring. But I rock with you because I'm taking out time to actually talk about you. But I'm supposed to just avoid that and just do that for everybody else? Nah. And then, you know, then they fans, like people who, when they read that, they'll come at you like a little hornet's nest. It's like people don't like the truth. But when I break it down, that's how I'm gonna look at these fighters, man. And if I talk about you and I promote you like a Boots or whatever, when I do that, man, some of these fans be the worst. It make you not even want to like do nothing and stick to the ones that you really rock with, because you can't say anything real about boxers. Or then it's like, oh, well, you ain't never put the gloves on before. Or who are you to actually tell this with that? When people be talking about people's money and how much they making, I want to see the elites shake it up. I want to see, we all know what the top fights is. I want to see Bud and Spence still. I want to see Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. I want to see Deontay Wilder and Andy Ruiz. You know, I want to see Tank and Devin, Tank and Shakur and Devin. I want to see Isaac Cruz and Martin, Keyshawn and Martin, Shakur and Isaac Cruz. You know, I want to see the 40s. I want to see Regis fight Devin. Next, if we expecting Errol Spence to go up and you know, because some people wanted to fight Charlo right away. Like, this is the energy be different for different fighters, because somebody can move up a weight class and they supposed to just get their feet wet. But then somebody like Inoue move up after being undisputed and fight a top dog that's already unified, and that ain't shit. So I'll be confused. I want to see the elites fight the elites. I want that same energy. I want to see Devin fight Regis next. I want to see him stop Lomachenko. I'm not giving Devin no credit if he don't stop Lomachenko. I'm sorry. I'm not. Tio didn't get no credit for it. And he went and took a belt before that fight. So he's not getting no credit unless he's stopping. You can say masterclass boxing, whatever. I'm not making no excuses for Loma. Loma did what he was supposed to do. He went to go unify with Tio instead of defending his belt against Devin. So I don't look at it like Loma really ducked him. He went to go unify. It ain't work out for him. He turned right back around. He went and stopped Nakatani. He beat the shit out of Comey. Knocked them all around the room, all around the ring. He went and did his war stuff, came back for Jermaine, and now he about to get it on with Devin. I want to see the Matrix. I want to see all this, all this hype and whatever, you know what I'm saying, if he's the real deal, and see whether or not this pressure, if Devin can hold up to this pressure when they fight. That's all I'm about. So I critique who I critique and how, you know what I'm saying, but I always keep it 100 about them, what my eyes see, what CompuBox said, and what really happened in these fights.
Well, I tell you what, we got some interesting prospects out there. We just got to see if they come to fruition.
Yeah, and I'm gonna get with you offline, cause Saturday, man, we can link up for that, cause I think that's gonna be a card to watch. You know what I'm saying? We'll sit down and watch, but I'll send you some more articles as I get them about a couple other things, and hit you up in a little while, maybe in a day or two.
Okay then.
All right, well, enjoy your evening. Good
All right,
hearing
Mike. You
from you
take
again.
care.
All right.
Always a pleasure.
All right.
All right.
Peace. Yep. That was my old head K, man. Breaking it down, man. I love to get his perspective on boxing. A lot of people like to listen to him. I know I could talk to him all day. We could talk about boxing all day. It's just sometimes I like to get, the things that's on his mind and his perspective, and he always be on point. I always learn something every time I talk to him. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all the likes, the comments, the growth. Salute to the kidneys, man. This is I like the vibe. I like the people who comment. I try to get back to everybody that comment on the channel, and I just want to appreciate each and every one of you here at Bodywork Boxing. We don't take things for face value. We do that body work.